The Mueller investigation is consuming Washington. In the Middle East, many are watching for what the Trump administration is going to say about Jerusalem. An official tells CNN that the State Department is bracing for potentially violent protests. That's if President Trump announces that the U.S. recognizes Jerusalem as Israel's capital. And that announcement could come as soon as Tuesday. Well, let's bring in Ian Lee for more on this. He joins us live from Jerusalem. And Ian, this, of course, is a very special city to most of the major religions. Is the U.S. playing with fire with potentially making this sort of an announcement?
Well, Lynda, this is an issue that goes core to the peace process and the negotiations, and Jerusalem is a symbol. It's significant to so many different religions. And so if the president does make this decision, it could not only cause people here in Jerusalem and in the West Bank and Gaza to go out and protest, but really around the Middle East. And I went to one street in particular where people live side by side, both Jews and Arabs and Israelis and Palestinians, to figure out what this means for them. At one level, it's a city like any other. People sell, people buy, normal life. But Jerusalem's old city is special. And this is the best vantage point, here on the Mount of Olives. The Dome of the Rock in all its magnificence, a key holy site for Muslims. Behind it, if you know where to look, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, built on the site where many Christians believe Christ was crucified. And out of sight from this vantage point, the Western Wall, holy to Jews, supporting the mount where the temple once stood. It's not Jerusalem's significance that's in dispute, it's its status. After nearly 20 years divided by barbed wire, Israeli forces took control of the whole city, east and west, in 1967. The international community did not recognize what Israel called the unification of Jerusalem. Embassies stayed in Tel Aviv. And East Jerusalem was accepted by the international community as the capital of a future Palestinian state in a negotiated settlement between Israelis and Palestinians. This area is called Abu Tor, and it's a bit of a rarity in Jerusalem. That's because it's a mixed neighborhood. People who live on this part of the street identify as Palestinians.
Inside, I am Palestinian. And I'm Muslim, and I'm proud about that.
I don't think it's a successful step to move the embassy, Khamis tells me, and it's not the right time to do it. But the Israelis and the Americans have other agendas that we can't change. A bit further down the road, and let's talk to some folks here.
I'm an Israeli woman. I live in Jerusalem. I love Jerusalem.
Palestinians say they want East Jerusalem to be part of their capital. What do you think about that?
I don't like to talk about this. I think Jerusalem is Israeli for Jewish.
What are your thoughts on the United States moving the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem?
Great, great. First of all, it's not going to be a Palestinian country, and it always was Israel.
Some Israelis who didn't want to be on camera told us they don't support moving the embassy. Whatever President Trump announces, the position of the vast majority of the international community remains clear. East Jerusalem is considered occupied territory. All settlements are illegal. Their view likely won't change quickly, even if the U.S. Embassy changes addresses.
And Ian, of course, President Trump said he wanted to reach the ultimate deal. What could an announcement like this mean for the fragile peace process there? And have you heard yet from the Palestinian president or the Israeli prime minister?
Well, it has the potential, Lynda, to be very detrimental to the peace process. We've been reaching out to Palestinian officials. We know that some of them have been in D.C. to put pressure on the Trump administration not to go forward with this move. We also know that they've been talking to their regional partners to also have them, like Egypt, like Saudi Arabia, like Jordan, to put pressure on the Trump administration so that this doesn't go forward. And one Palestinian official said it calls into question America's role in being a negotiating partner for a peace between the Israelis and the Palestinians. As far as the Israelis go, well, the ruling government of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, they enthusiastically endorse this move. This is something they've been calling for a long time. For Israel, they see Jerusalem as their unified capital, and they say that the United States moving its embassy helps solidify that. Lynda?
And just briefly, just on that point, no doubt many think President Trump has enough on his plate right now. Why would he do this? What does he stand to gain from this?
Well, if he does do it, and we'll have to wait to see if President Trump does, he'll probably give some sort of reason. But this is a campaign promise that he made, and it would be him fulfilling a promise. This definitely is something that is supported by his base, so he'll want to throw them a victory, and it would be seen as a victory for him and for his base. Now, while it won't be a victory for the Palestinians or people who are against it, for the president in a time of turmoil where he could probably use a victory, this is an easy one. But when you look at the negotiation process, this is a big give for the Israelis. Previous U.S. presidents have said they're not going to do this, not going to move the embassy, and that once there's a peace deal, then they'll come with that decision whether, to move the embassy. But this gives something the Israelis have wanted for a very long time, something that the United States, at least from what it looks like, doesn't get anything in return. Lynda?
All right, Ian Lee for us live in Jerusalem, staying across this story this week, no doubt. Thanks so much.